Mr. McMahon, what can you tell us about Obama's jobs bill? Coming off the...
I get a kick. I mean, it's such an oxymoron that anybody in government tries to produce a jobs bill in any way, shape, or form, other than for a government job. I mean, if they're going to, direct outlay to some agency to hire people, they can call that a jobs bill. That'd be legitimate. But anything else they do now does nothing but hinder the ability of companies like mine and small businesses all over the country to actually create jobs, because frankly people are freaked out by this administration and this Congress. Everybody I know is just scared to death of what's coming down the pike, and who knows what they're going to do next. So
this administration seems particularly fond of labor unions. They've pushed
fond is a very gentle way of putting it.
They've pushed the health care bill, which was really just a favor for the labor unions. It exempted them from these Cadillac health plan taxes and the employee so-called free choice act, which is really going to take away our choice.
Yes.
Why is this? How is he tied into this?
Well, a couple of ways. Some of it's ideological, but most of it isn't. It's actually quite practical for Democrats to do this, because the unions provide the majority of the money and manpower to every level of Democratic campaign, from city level through the President of the United States. It's simple. That's what this is. And what the problem is organized labor not only is losing membership, they have this enormous financial problem that's literally starting to rear its ugly head now, and their pension plans are collapsing, their organizational funds are evaporating. They borrow money to donate into campaigns, which I always think is kind of interesting, and then they raise dues. I mean, they essentially have taxing power on their membership, so they can borrow money based upon being able to force a dues raise on people. And given all these problems, Democrats really have no choice but to answer their largest shareholder, and that's what they are. They are, at least 50%. Some people would tell you up to 60% of the money and manpower to literally every level of Democratic campaign. So they're willing to do truly insane things, like trying to push, and in fact passing in the House in 2007, the Employee Forced Choice Act, which does unquestionably remove the right of people to have a secret ballot. It forces binding interest arbitration on a company, which is a specific legal term. It's not like your credit card or baseball or anything like that. It's literally the process whereby a third party is allowed to write and impose a contract on two parties that may be in dispute, even if no other contract existed. So you literally get a government bureaucrat would write a contract that the company and their employees would have to abide by, that governs everything between the relationship of an employee to their employer, which is the most radical attempt at influencing, private enterprise that's ever been contemplated in the United States. It was really, it's hard to describe just how big a deal it is. And then you got crazy people like this Craig Becker guy, the NLRB nominee, who's...
Are we going to get a recess appointment?
Maybe. I mean, I hope people know what he said, because what he said was really stunning. He wrote a long a law review article, actually, for the University for Minnesota State Supreme Court, that said in it, he used what he called his congressional analogy. He said that much like citizens of the United States only have a choice between representatives to Congress, not whether they're represented in Congress or not, so should the American worker only have a choice between unions, not whether they're in a union or not. And then he followed it up by saying that if an employer is involved in any way, is encouraging, discouraging, or in any way involved in a union organizing campaign, that involvement is by nature coercive and thereby nature illegal. So you have no rights. As a matter of fact, he would charge you with a crime of some form or impose some penalty on you via the National Labor Relations Board if you tried to educate your employees at all about the consequences of joining a union for your company. He's so radical that even real lefties in Congress have trouble with this guy. But the fact is that they nominated the guy, renominated him. We get a recess? I don't know. From what we've seen, logic doesn't really flow from this White House or this Congress. I mean, you'd think that, okay, everybody knows he's poisoned, but everything we've seen from them is every time they get knocked down, they double down. And so I don't know.
Well,
They don't ask me. So.
well, healthcare and the Employee Free Choice Act to some extent looks dead for now, anyway.
Well, the healthcare bill's coming back. I mean, the president's apparently going to introduce a bill. I just was reading, I got an email this morning. He's going to put a bill online 72 hours in advance of the healthcare show they're trying to put on. Yeah. I don't know whether it'll still include in it the union exemption for healthcare plans, but also the other thing that really affected my industry was an amendment put in by new Senator Merkley from Oregon, in which they dropped the threshold for what businesses were exempt from having to provide employer-provided health care. In every industry except construction, that threshold starts at 50 employees or greater. Construction, it's 5. So quite literally, the bath and tile guy in your neighborhood or the guys that help put up your basketball hoop on a driveway, that guy's got to provide employer-provided health care because they're construction industry. We're special, I guess. They like us so much.
Right. Is there any hope for the construction industry as far and just the economy in general to rebound?
Only if they stop. If they stop just scaring the hell out of people. When they brought that guy up from AIG, the retired guy for $1 a year, I don't know if you remember or watched these hearings, and everybody from both sides of the aisle jumped all over this guy who literally got a phone call and thought he was doing the nice thing. He was fishing with his grandson when he got his phone call, and come back for $1 a year, like we championed those people in World War II.
Right.
And they brought this guy up and berated him for like 3 days. Who wants to be in the paper? What business person has the time to worry about that kind of thing? So everybody says, as long as you're doing what you're doing, we're not going to do anything either. But overall in the economy, in the construction industry, we have some very tough days ahead. We're already at 24.7% unemployment. States and spotty areas was much higher than that. There's a coming real estate bubble in commercial real estate, which is much larger than the housing bubble that we have to work our way through, and so we combine all those things, and it doesn't look like really great times for my industry. But if we can change Congress and those things and stop these people, stop this trend and stop what they're doing and reverse things and show that we're actually not trying to impose upon business, we're leaving it alone, then everybody's hello. But not until then. Really, it's sad to say. That's all we need to do is to stop these people.
Okay, so that leads me into my last question. Have you got a favorite for 2012?
If I got a favorite for 2012, I don't think we know who that is yet. I really don't. I think we were talking. I said we're looking for a boring guy. No, we're looking for adults. This administration, starting with the public face of the worst press secretary I've ever seen in my life. Press secretaries aren't supposed to say use the pronoun I. I don't care what Robert Gibbs thinks about anything. Nobody does. He's not supposed to care. He's actually just the voice of the White House, not his opinion.
Right.
They are the most juvenile, incompetent group of people I have ever seen in charge of anything in my life. Truly, it's really kind of stunning, and I think what the country is thirsting for is not just to stop in this trend. They're actually looking for adults to take over and make hard decisions. And so, I'm not saying that there isn't a candidate out there who isn't that yet, but I'm not sure yet who that is. But I think serious people, serious times, we'll get that person. I know there's a couple of senators contemplating, some of whom are retiring from the upper Northeast, who might be interesting candidates.
Right.
But because that's the kind of thing we need. We need somebody who's like, look, we need George Washington. We need somebody who's going to go, look, I'll fix it and I'm leaving. I'm not trying to build a legacy or worry about what happens after this. We need to fix this problem because it's that serious. We really are. As a country, economically, we are on a very dangerous path.
Well, thank you for your time today, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of CPAC.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.